Hey Tribe, a few weeks ago I had the privilege of joining the 2023 Nirvana Strength Training Camp in Bali. And I wanted to share my experience, and my main objective for this is to convince as many viewers as possible to invest in themselves, whether that's in movement or calisthenics training program, or that's just in something that you're passionate about, that you love, and that's going to inspire you to grow and to expand yourself in some way. Ever since I quit my job back in 2018, I have frequently been investing into myself, and I can tell you every time it is scary, every time it is so worth it. Is there something you would like to do? A certification or a program or an experience? What's stopping you? What's making you feel hesitant? Strongly consider doing that thing, especially if it's scary. And I hope that my experience going through this camp encourages you to do so. Nirvana Life Bali is a place I first visited back in 2019. This was shortly after I left my job. I had been traveling Southeast Asia for around a year and a half, and I found myself in Bali, and a friend of mine encouraged me to go to Nirvana to train. He thought I would be inspired and that I would enjoy the space and the community there. So I went. One day, I put my stuff in my locker and I turned around to go to the gym floor, and I bumped into a big muscly dude. I said, "Oh, sorry man," I kind of looked down and was a little embarrassed. But when I actually looked back and glanced over my shoulder, I realized it was Simon Atta. If you don't know Simon, or Monster Strength, he is an insanely strong individual. He is very, very talented, very experienced, very skilled, and he's also a world-class coach and a physiotherapist. He's inspired many people in the calisthenics, movement, and strength training space, and I highly recommend you check him out if you haven't already. I had been following him for a little while, and I was like, what the fuck? Why is Simon here? I realized later on that they were about to start the Nirvana strength training camp. I think this was the first one, or maybe the second one. And I looked into it, and it was outside of my budget at the time. I had just been spending a lot of my money on traveling, and so I simply couldn't afford it. But I would actually stand at the upper floor over top of the main class space and watch parts of the workshops, trying to absorb as much as I could. And I told myself, in the near future, I am coming back. Sure enough, a few years later, I happened to have the budget. A week before the 2023 camp, an email popped up in my inbox, and I just said, I gotta do it. Let's go. What I was most excited about in terms of revisiting Nirvana was that they just finished renovating most of the facilities.
You'll park your bike next to the gorgeous cafe before heading through the entrance. You can get your membership at the front desk and head into the main class area, or head upstairs to view the main class area from above. There's also plenty of room for those who are doing their own training, to stretch, to do their hand balancing, or even some tools for bodyweight strength. You also have your cardio equipment overlooking the spa area, and heading downstairs, there's just a ton of great tools for strength training. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can probably find it in here. Continuing outside, there's even more space for functional fitness, for bodyweight strength, gymnastics, and weightlifting. You've also got some additional cardio equipment, parallel bars in the back, and a gorgeous yoga studio that unfortunately there was a class going on and the curtains were drawn. But we'll head back to the newest addition to the facilities, which is the pool area. And this is also where we had most of our meals. We'd hang out here in the afternoon. A lot of people would chill here and do their work, and meals would be served in the restaurant area in the back. And the final new addition or new renovation was the recovery area. We've got 2 different temperature cold plunges, a steam room, a cedar sauna, and a chill area upstairs. Some people would work, some people would relax, with a gorgeous view in the back, and finally a hot pool off to the side.
Coaching team was awesome. So we had Simon Ada, we had Sondre Berg, Laura Kummerle, William Su, and Andry Strong. It was an impressive lineup. All of them incredible athletes, as well as great coaches. When we arrived at camp, we were given a welcome pack, and included in that welcome pack was this book. There was a bunch of other things too. In this book, information about all kinds of stuff, including our schedule. The daily schedule was breakfast at Nirvana. We had our first workshop at around 8 a.m. We'd then have our lunch and time to just hang out and chill by the pool, in the recovery center, whatever we'd like. Our second workshop would be at 1 p.m. Both of the workshops each day would be around 3 hours. Afterward, we'd have a snack, and then about an hour after the snack, we'd have dinner. There were a couple of days that were exceptions. They did include breathwork classes on a couple of days, and there was one rest day in the middle of the camp where we were offered biohacking sessions, which were really interesting. But that was the overall schedule. The workshops across the camp were a variety of different themes. We had calisthenics fundamentals, push-ups, rows, dips, pistol squats, pull-ups, and that was what kicked everything off. We had a variety of different handstand workshops, from basics and balance to pressing and back bending to handstand push-ups. We had a planche workshop. We had a muscle up workshop, mobility workshop, squat variation workshop, an acrobatics workshop. We had tons. We did spend a lot of time talking, programming, discussing strategy and mindset even, but we also did some heavy training. I personally would have enjoyed more structured workouts. There were a few that were really good. A lot of the times what we were doing, we're practicing a variety of different skills, regressions and progressions that might be appropriate for whatever level the various participants are at. The participants really brought everything together. It's just really nice engaging with people from all over the world. One evening we were brought to the beach, and there was a live musical performance with acoustic guitars and a little bit of singing. That was very enjoyable. It was nice to kind of get outside of the gym, even though I could have literally lived at Nirvana the entire time. Now, I can sit here and talk to you about all the things I learned about handstands and acrobatics and squats and mobility training and swipes and all this kind of stuff. How I think I can provide the most value were the high level insights. Number one, as I already mentioned, it is always so worth investing in yourself. Would so much rather have that experience, have those memories, have these new skills, than have those digits in my bank account. If you invest in your skill set, your knowledge, your own personal growth, you will make the money back. You've just got to keep working, you've got to keep healthy, you've got to keep helping others as well. The second thing, it started to become obvious to Simon that maybe I'm a bit of a perfectionist at times. He said something to me that I wrote down. I took an entire page to write it down. Don't let perfect be the enemy of progress. I've been so focused on the perfect handstand or the perfect this or the perfect that I've really been hindering my progress. You've got to get good at failing. You've got to embrace mistakes. You've got to embrace imperfection in order to get good at anything. The third thing that I learned from this camp, and that really surprised me, my biggest inspiration was not any of the coaches. It was Johnson. Johnson is the co-founder of Nirvana, and I don't think many people know that. He brought all of these people together, and he sat sort of on the sidelines and didn't really take credit so much, but he created it for everyone as well as for himself. I Thought that was incredibly inspiring. It made me feel like maybe I'm chasing the spotlight too much and not focusing on simply supporting the people around me. Again, it's making me kind of emotional. Sorry guys, I'm a mess.
I want to thank Johnson, the Nirvana staff, and everyone else behind the scenes for bringing us together and making this experience a reality.
I will definitely be returning to Nirvana at some point in the future. It is one of my favorite places on earth. So thank you, Nirvana. Thank you to all of the coaches. Thank you to the participants. Everything was fantastic. I will be back, maybe for the strength training camp next year. Once again, I want to encourage everybody watching this video, if you are considering investing in yourself in some way, trust that you can get a return on that investment, and it will be a worthwhile experience. If you're going to Bali, hit up Nirvana. If you want to try some movement training programs or you want to work with myself, please check out the Evolution Collective. We're going to be putting this video up in the blog. So thank you again so much, everybody. Appreciate you watching this video and following through to the end. And as always, wishing you very well.